Hello and welcome to Jupiter Gets Emotional. I'm Christopher Rayman Witecki, your astrologer and soul biographer, here to dive into the depths of the Jupiter in Cancer transit. And boy, will it be emotional. This is an expansion of our emotional maturity on Earth. It's a heavy transit, it's a difficult transit, and thank goddess it only happens once every 12 years. Jupiter, being the planet of our wisdom and our knowledge, is hitting Cancer, the sign of human emotion. And so we're all being forced to expand what we understand to be our feelings and expand how we respond to our feelings. And this is really what determines the masters from the juniors on the planet. Masters all work with their emotional field, all work with passion. Juniors kind of make the rest of the world deal with their emotions, make the rest of the world deal with their passion. That's really what separates the men from the boys and the princesses from the queens. So we're going to dive into this video and find out what's going on for you in this transit. Now the transit technically lasts a full year, from July 2013 to July 2014. Because it's so intense, this is just part A of my video series, which is going to dive into the transit for July to December. So we're looking at the rest of 2013 for this video to understand where you will get emotional. Each of the videos dives into sun sign and rising. Remember, your sun sign is the minute going on in your life, so the actions in the moment, and your rising is the long story, the long-term actions going on. So you can buy both videos to get the full story. And before we dive into what's going on for you, I want to look at a little bit of the astro history of Jupiter in Cancer so you can get a real idea of what this means and how it affects you. Let's take a look. Now, looking at this timeline here, this is precisely the dates involved every time Jupiter's been in Cancer in this particular century. As you can see, we're in July 2013, and that is the time where you're going to see a rapid expansion of your motion beginning in early July. Now, the last time we had this expansion was the year of July 2001 to 2002. For those of you who live in the United States, this was the infamous 9/11 terrorist attack that happened in September of 2001. And the United States, which is a Cancer, born July 4th, 1776, and the president, Cancer George W. Bush, handled this emotional trauma, and the United States had to endure. The rest of the world also felt that pain, and regardless of the national circumstances, if you go back to your life in 2001 to 2002, you will see that you were dealing with the issues talked about in this video. You will see that you grew at that time, or didn't, or refused to, and you will see that these issues are once again back. But don't stop there. If you're old enough, go one more time to July 1989 to 1990. Guess who just got elected as president then? George Bush. Guess also what was happening? Well, the United States was having a hard time. We were coming out of a very bad time where we had an Alzheimer president leaving. That was a little shady and kind of weird. We had Ollie North trials going on. We had the Exxon Valdez oil spill, which made the whole world upset. If you look at the 1989 drama, there was plenty of it, and the United States was going through its times. But look in your own life in that year and see for yourself where you grew in 89, if you remember. Even if you were a child, what changed between 89 and 90? But just making it even more interesting, let's go way, way back in time to June 1942. This was, of course, when the United States entered World War II. Again, the United States, a Cancer, entering into a world war. We had been bombed in December of 41, but we didn't go to war and put our boys at risk really until the summer of 42. So pretty interesting there. And of course, one more date you can't deny is June 30th to 31st, the time before that Jupiter was in Cancer. And of course, what was that? The World Depression and the Dust Bowl. Of course, once again, the stock market crashed November of the year before, but the Dust Bowl, the real starvation, the real difficulty in unemployment and fear really hit that summer of 1930, as well as the crops drying up. So as you can see with this timeline, every time Jupiter goes into Cancer, and do your research, look up your grandparents' birthdays, look up other people, it's really fascinating to see, but every time Jupiter goes in Cancer, human beings have this issue with having to grow up emotionally. So let's talk about some of the things we can expect in this video. For one, you should understand kind of the mapping of Jupiter in Cancer. It tends to go back and forth. So in 9/11, the United States was attacked. This time, probably the United States will be seen as the bad guy. And as I tape this video, that's already the case. This kid named Edward Snowden has stolen secrets in the United States and is making us look bad worldwide. So already the U.S. is on the receiving side of this. And that's how karma works. If you felt like you were victimizing yourself the last time Jupiter's in Cancer, be careful about being victimized, or be careful about moving it in the outer world. So karma has a way of going 180. So you might find yourself being the one breaking hearts this time if you had your heart broken last time. Look for that to change every Jupiter in Cancer. But the truth is that people have dialectical growth anyway. So even though the United States was the victim the last time, and now the United States is looking like the perpetrator, the truth is the United States is also going to take some hits for this. So it really is just a matter of who starts the cause and effect cycle and where will the cycle start. So it all starts in July of 2013. And following this introduction, we're going to dive into, for your sign and your rising, a month-by-month breakdown of the events that happen. And because there's so many events and so much, I cut the video into 6 months and kept it so that you can focus on the first half of the transit. So without further ado, let's dive into the details of your Jupiter in Cancer expansion. Hello my Aquarians and Aquarius Risings, thank you so much for buying this video. I think you're going to be grateful that you did. Jupiter in Cancer is quite an intense time. As I said in the introduction, the last time Jupiter was in Cancer was 2001. And this is an emotional expansion of you basically in the moment. Cancer rules Aquarius's moment, which is really kind of funny because Aquariuses can be so cold and stoic, it seems, at least from those of us talking to you, about life. But the truth is, in the moment, they're the most emotional. In fact, Cancers are less emotional than you are in the moment. Cancers are kind of Sagittarius and optimistic in the moment. Aquariuses are kind of like Cancers in the moment, which is why they kind of look like nervous bunnies all the time, and why Aquarius risings are all stoic, but behind the scenes, you're freaking out, right? Well, it's really about you getting comfortable with your moment. And you getting comfortable with your moment comes down to you getting comfortable with your own emotions. In fact, the way to rule your life is how you respond to the emotions you feel, not so much what causes them. So it's how you respond to someone shocking you. It's how you respond to yourself, not to them. And a lot of times I think Aquariuses want to cut and leave and not respond at all. And you're going to find that those types of responses or lack of responses cause you to be at dis-ease. And dis-ease will go straight to the body. That's right. When we're talking about the moment, we're also talking about a relationship to our health and to our body. We're talking about the Virgo IB state of awareness. So an Aquarius, which is all innovative and all bizarre and out of the box, what they be in the moment is emotional. And if you ignore your emotions, your body will absorb this energy and your body will reflect it. So Aquariuses are probably set up more than any sign to get Cancer if they're ignoring their emotions, because they have Cancer in the house of health. And that's where the word Cancer comes from, by the way. Ignoring our feelings that leads to all this. It's an emotional dis-ease. So what's the good news, Wateki? The good news is it's time to feel good. The good news is the first part of this transit will be the destruction of whatever is in the way of feeling good. So if you are an alcoholic, it will break down. If you're being abused at work, it will break down. If you're driving too long to commute to work, it will break down. Anything that prevents you from feeling good in the moment will break down. Jupiter guaranteed. But because it's Jupiter, Jupiter also brings a box of Kleenex right there. It's punching you in the face and it's giving you Kleenex at the same time. It's kind of crazy. If you've ignored health issues, you should be advised that this is a time that you must take them very seriously in the next year. And the good news is you can heal yourself. It comes from healing your own feelings first. So in this first video, which lasts from now until December, a lot of what you're experiencing is the loss of things in the moment and being very uncomfortable in the moment. I have to say, because Aquariuses try to jump out of emotion, this is being pushed in the pool, getting wet, being a hot mess, and not liking it for a second. But welcome to being human. We all are human, and even though you are probably one of the coolest, most alien-like humans there are, extremely eccentric and weird and bizarre and unpredictable, you still have to go through the basic human training of dealing with your silly emotions. So we're going to dive in now and take a look at what this means month by month, starting with when the whole party begins, July. In July 2013, basically, this is the big breakdown part of the story. Jupiter enters into Cancer, the Sun enters into Cancer, and so, anything built out of straw collapses. This is lifestyle collapse, jobs ending, car accidents, health problems, injuries, you name it. Things going wrong everywhere. What is the common cause? They all make you feel bad. So things that make you feel bad, God Universe is going to pull the rug out from under you and show you this needs to go. So it's not fun. And unfortunately, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Now, one of the things I want to point out is a grand trine or a soul pyramid going on in water with the Sun and Jupiter, Black Lilith. And this unites two other parts of your story that aren't completely covered in this video, but important to bring up. Saturn in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. Now, Neptune in Pisces is helping you figure out what you're really worth on the planet. And you have no idea because you're so weird. You have no idea what you're worth. So the universe is trying to just hint you to that. And the point is, when you're trying to get out of a bad lifestyle or get out of a bad habit, it's your intuition about what you're worth that kind of helps you out of that. Like, I'm worth more than this. I know it. I sense it. And so that is a big part of the story. Saturn in Scorpio, also a big part, career, which you already knew about. You already knew you weren't happy with where your legacy was going. You already knew you were trying to get your career power on. Did you know that part of your career is held back by the fact that you are tolerating crappy moments? And so by tolerating crappy moments, that leads to crappy legacies. And that also leads to not getting what you're worth. So being responsible and making career decisions that include the lifestyle, that include your feelings, career decisions that include these things is part of the lesson too, and listening to intuition as far as what you ask the boss. So July 5th through 9th, big crashes in lifestyle. July 14th through 20th, further crashes. So if you had a health crisis, it might get deeper. If you had a lifestyle crisis and called in sick, you might get fired. It gets deeper because the universe is trying to get to the root of this problem, not just the symptoms. Now, August, things are kind of the same in some regards. Now, the Sun moves into Leo at the end of July, moves into Leo, which means it moves from lifestyle health into relationships and your marriage. So this turns into how you relate to you. So for instance, if you have this horrible job where you're on a factory and on your feet all day, then you are a slave driver to you in your marriage. If you throw yourself out in the public and feel bad inside and ignore it, then you are an asshole in your marriage to yourself. So this first part of Sun and Leo is really about how do you treat you at the end of the day? Because you're going to die alone, guaranteed, face the light in the tunnel alone, and have to deal with what you would put yourself through or not. You won't be able to blame anyone else. And so this marriage is very important with you loving yourself. And it's from this loving yourself that you're able to really rise up and make some big decisions and cuts in your daily life. So in early August, you decide and cut what's going to go in your daily life. Also, you've got to realize that every time you're doing something in your daily life, it's a question of inner faith. Pluto is opposing Jupiter, and so you are going always between the faith and the lifestyle. Well, I want to quit the job, but do I have the faith God will take care of me? Well, I have the faith God will take care of me, but will they, revolt in my daily life? So this is a constant back and forth all the way to October 29th. Get used to it. In some cases, your faith needs a change. In some cases, your day needs a change. Then along August 11th to 20th, you'll be manifesting and healing your solution. So the Sun is going through Leo. It's all about marriage. Then it goes to marriage. So you're looking at your relationships now and how your lifestyle and relationships might be conflicting. And you're manifesting new solutions for your lifestyle. So if your lifestyle completely falls apart, it will come back together in pieces August 11th to the 20th. Then the Sun moves into Virgo. This is where things get really vulnerable and we get a second tier of breakdown. A second tier of breakdown is basically the breakdown that is a result of the last breakdown or getting deeper in the issue. So this could be where you realize the lump is cancerous, or this could be where you find yourself without a job and unemployment doesn't show up for you. And I'm not trying to say it has to be negative or worse. It really just gets to the issue that caused the issue. So for instance, if you lost your job because you have a drinking problem, well, the second breakdown would be admitting that you have a drinking problem. So you're going to get to the issue behind the issue, and that's the second tier breakdown. And this is the test of self-love going on with the Sun in Leo, and then the Sun in Virgo with trust and intimacy. And let's talk about trust and intimacy in September. As the Sun moves into Virgo, it's moved now through marriage, and now it's moving into trust and intimacy. So you're focusing on trust and intimacy in September. But again, this video is about you living in your moment. What's your lifestyle about? So this will be focusing on, well, where do my boundaries get in the way of a good lifestyle. Maybe I'm not trusting enough in this place, and maybe I'm over trusting in that place. And these are all boundaries that lead to unhappy living in the moment and lead to unhappy emotions in the moment that lead to dis-ease in the body. So as you're exploring your own trust and intimacy issues and you're having tier 2 breakdowns in the moment, you're really starting to see where lines have to be drawn. All right. September 8th to the 20th, breakthroughs. So now lifestyle solutions, health solutions, maybe that paycheck comes in, maybe the unemployment starts to kick in, things start to go better, and you intuit the right path. So remember I said listen to your intuition about what you're worth, and that is very important. There'll be times when the world is treating you like what you're not worth. And your job to yourself is to know what you're worth, and then Saturn and Scorpio to make decisions for career and future that honor your worth and honor the happy moment that you want. So 8th through the 20th, you're kind of getting tested. 22nd through the 10th, now the Sun moves out of Virgo and into Libra. And when it moves into Libra, it's going to be less vulnerable for you, less on walking on eggshells. But there's going to be a lot more holdups in life. So although you're coming out of the closet and feeling better, the world is stopping you and slowing you down. When the Sun moves into Libra, Aquarius and Aquarius risings are working on their belief structure. So at this point, it's, well, how do my beliefs play into the shitty lifestyle I've ended up in? Or how do the way I was raised and what I believe life is about play into, this horrible factory job? And it may be that you were raised by parents that said, this is the way it is, life is hard. So you'll be undoing beliefs and stuff with the Sun in Libra, but at the same time, there's a lot of oppositions, T-squares, and a grand square that ends up happening. So you're really holding space that everything's going to work out as you begin to question some fundamental beliefs at the end of September. Then as we move into October, October is really, ironically, the fulcrum month. It is the point when the story tips in your favor or way against you. This is the point where we will see, the masters are really separated from the proficients and the beginners, because masters now ascend higher and the proficients either ascend or don't ascend. That's always the story. And the beginners either get to the next level or stay at the beginning. So with the Sun in Libra, all right, you're focusing on beliefs, you're focusing on all these things, but beliefs are opposing Uranus and Aries. So you get into a bit of a conflict between what you believe and what your mind is saying. All right. And so it's your thoughts versus your beliefs. That's one of the oppositions. The Sun also begins to square Pluto. That's a typo. Sorry. And that means that fear begins to come up, okay, between what you believe and your inner faith, Pluto and Capricorn. So now inner faith versus belief. Now, of course, Pluto and Capricorn is opposing Jupiter and Cancer. So now we've got a grand square going on by the middle of the month where you basically have faith versus reality and beliefs versus ideas and thoughts. And these four are keeping you in a stop down. So really from October 13th to 21st, like almost 6 days there, total stop down, nothing's moving. Sit down and think about your belief structure. Your belief structure is the pivot point at that point, but your thoughts, your faith, and your reality all play into that. All right. Things then turn up in volume on October 21st. Thanks, universe. 3 things happen. 1, Jupiter goes to 20 degrees in Cancer. That turns the whole story into a high anxiety story. It might be a new job, a job you're not qualified for. It might be something that happens in the moment that throws you, but something takes it to a higher risk, emotional risk in the moment. So the universe raises the emotional stakes October 21st. You are forced to do nothing but surrender and coax yourself through it, right? Well, at the same time, Mercury goes retrograde, which means that we are left only with our feelings. Our mind is blah, 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 and not working properly, and that's October 21st. We're not even at the end of October. Let's zoom ahead. I lost my graphic there. As we move into Halloween, this is the point that separates men from boys and queens from princesses, because the universe is all lined up to really separate talent from amateur here. And let me point it out. First of all, the Sun moves into Scorpio. That's your career. That's your decision-making stuff. That's your future. That's your legacy. So as the Sun moves into Scorpio and out of beliefs and theory, it moves into practical, what am I going to do? And so you're finding that you have to draw some really serious deep lines or make some really serious decisions about career and everything else. You're just coming out of that grand square period. Well, all of it comes to a head October 28th. And what happens is really this whole list. For one, the universe calls you to, for finally, once and for all, cut a career past. You might have the old employer offer you back. You might have all kinds of stuff happen. Nope. Cut off the bottom and cut it off forever. At the same time, Saturn at 13 degrees says you punch the glass ceiling and break through whatever was holding you back from being promoted or breaking through to the next understanding. So it's this cut off the dead weight and jump high going on with career, which is part of the Grand Trine and part of all of the daily lifestyle. This obviously affects your lifestyle, doing this to your career. This obviously affects your ability to hold yourself in the moment. Pluto is 9 degrees in direct, which means you've got to build new faith where you've never had before, okay, at the same moment. And Jupiter's at master 20 degrees, which means the emotional moment has never been this intense in your entire life. So Halloween, the whole Halloween week there is really a time where you have to just hold this yoga pose, watch your horoscopes, and get through it. In November, things do quiet down, but the story, of course, does not stop. For one, as of November 6th, Jupiter finally retrogrades. So this push to change your daily life finally gets a break. You finally get a moment of peace. So maybe you're not struggling to survive anymore. Maybe your health has gone out of a critical condition. It pulls back, the tide pulls out. That's what retrograde is, the tide pulling out. And when that happens, you start to feel where you are, what's left. As the water goes back and retracts, you see things that were knocked over by the typhoon. And we're talking Jupiter Cancer, so we're really talking typhoon. We're talking your daily lifestyle. We're talking your work style. We're talking all that. So November 6th, you get a break. November 7th, boom, the sun crosses Saturn. Major career decision happens the next day. So right after you get a break, you're ready to decide. Jupiter retrograde says this new career decision is directly tied to the new lifestyle that is retrograde manifesting, okay? So it's a career decision that probably changes your life in mid-November, all right? Then the sun goes to Sagittarius, out of career and into social life and how you feel like you belong in the world and where you feel like you belong. And over Thanksgiving holiday in the end of November, you're focusing on friendship, belonging, and all these sorts of things. Maybe the marketing of your career, maybe the title part of your career, maybe the outlook of your career, the sales part of your career, but you're publicly oriented. And your public orientation is really what is affecting daily lifestyle. So lifestyle is affected by reputation, health is affected by reputation. So look at those things for answers there. Then finally, we get into the Christmas period and December. And December is going to be kind of funky in a weird way. And I have to say the year is going to end strange, okay? First of all, as we move in, the sun is in Sagittarius still. And so your focus is your focus is reputation, your friendship, your social alignments, that sort of thing. And you're dealing with lifestyle and holding lifestyle, but Jupiter's retrograding, so you're kind of just learning from what you've done in July. There's not new lifestyle changes. You're not going to make any radical changes at this point, but you are seeing if the recent changes were good or not. And you're seeing it through kind of the public's eyes. Now, what happens is Mars is in Libra at this time. Remember where you felt in a dead square, a grand square between beliefs and thoughts and faith and reality? Well, Mars now is going to make whatever that time was about happen. So as we're kind of coasting in a retrograde in the first 2 weeks of December, all this stuff starts happening. Fate starts changing. And that's Mars in Libra, which is pushing for justice to be served. So the universe is following through with its good law of equation and equality and pushing for that justice. So look for activity to happen. Also in mid-December, finally, Saturn trines up with Jupiter, which means lifestyle and career on the same track. They feel on the same track. They don't feel like they're on different tracks. So those are lined up, and so you're feeling better in that alignment. The last thing I want to point out in this video is Venus retrograding in Capricorn at the end. So Capricorn is your higher faith, your spirituality. Venus moves in there, so you'll be feeling all this higher faith in mid-December, and then Venus retrogrades. Where's the faith? Suddenly you might be questioning faith from December 22nd through the new year. So although it's been pretty good and pretty progressive, it's a real weird note that the universe leaves us on where you're questioning faith. This questioned faith, of course, opposes the truth of reality. Nothing's going wrong in reality, but nothing's going forward either. So we're kind of at a dead still there. And the sun's in Capricorn, so it's now opposing the Cancer issue, which is a faith issue. So by the end of the year, you're really questioning faith with a non-changing reality and probably still playing games, with that opposition that we felt between thoughts and for theory. So, I guess what I'm leaving you with is the new year will end weird with lots of questions, but it doesn't mean things are not going your way. Not at all. And that's what the part B video will be telling you about. Okay, let's wrap up. Alrighty, well, this concludes Jupiter Gets Emotional Part A. I will be producing and distributing Part B here shortly, and I'll be emailing you at the email address you provided when you bought this video when the next Part B is available. Until then, pay close, mindful attention to your feelings, expand, grow, and don't take it personally. And remember, you're not alone. We're all going through this together. Until next time, I love you, and live, love, be.